Good morning, everyone. This is Nate G. It is February 16th, and we are going to set up a trade plan on KKR. KKR is, as you can see, in this is a 65-minute squeeze. It would also be in a squeeze on the hourly. We have a trend up in this case, right? We have our pattern that we look for, and we're in a squeeze, right? So we have all the criteria that we're looking for to set up a trade. Also, we've traded KKR in the last week. Previously, we traded it down here, and KKR is in a great uptrend, and it's just moving its way up, resetting up a new pattern. You can see we had a TPS squeeze play here, and we potentially have one setting up here for a continued move higher because we have earnings coming up. So we're going to set up a possible trade plan on this and go through marking up our charts and figuring out where our support and resistance is. So we're going to remove all our drawings here and we're going to start anew. All right. So 30-minute squeeze, KKR. I'm going to come in here to what I see as potentially a value area low right about here. And I'm going to put in my first yellow line. And I'm going to label it value area low. And we'll also label it stop for right now. Okay. And that line is at 95.46. Right? 95.46. So then I'm going to come up in here and we're going to have kind of a little bit of an intermediary value area high here at 96.96. And then we're going to go value area high. And then we're going to set up right here at 96.16. We're going to, whoops, sorry about that. We're going to set up our point of control. POC. And then we're going to come in here and go, this would be a target number 1 at our most recent high. Okay, we're going to make that green. We're going to label it target 1. That is at 98.42. And then we'll take our little Fibonacci extension tool, and I'm not going to go to this gap down. I'm actually going to go to this support level here. And I'm going to put in a target number 2 at 99.22. Now, the other thing we can do is, and the reason I kind of like this chart is target 2. And what I might do is move this target 2 to the $100 level, because we're sitting here consolidating right under $100, and that's going to act as a magnet, right? It's a psychological level. It's going to act as a magnet for this stock. So my target number 1 is a retest of the high, and my target number 2 is now at 100. Okay. So now that I have my lines in here, I'm going to put a secondary line down here, and I'm going to make that kind of a, let's do a pink. Okay, you see this VP level that I just put in there? That's at 95 even, right? We could look at that as a stop as we get closer. Okay, so now I've got these major lines in. Now I'm going to go to like a 5-minute chart, and I'm going to see more detail. Okay, I'm going to see more detail. And in that detail, I can tell now that my point of control area probably needs to be adjusted slightly. Okay, we're going to look at the whole pattern. Well, it doesn't need to be, but I'm going to put in a secondary POC down here, right? So we're going to label this one, let's make it red, and then POC 2. Right, we have our POC 1 there. Let's Let's do, POC1 there. You can see these two lines. We're kind of into a third POC, right? So we're kind of looking at this. This chunk here is essentially, your point of control. It's just sort of a chunk. It's all of these people here, right? So we're just going to kind of keep an eye on that. But I've got these two major ones sitting out right now. And we've got kind of a value area high in here that we need to get up and over. Okay. So the trade plan here, I would love this off of, at the very least, the 96.17, if not 95.96, right? So I am going to grab my long position and I'm going to put it in at our first point of control here. I'm going to move my red line up to my value area low and my stop. And then I'm going to move this up to target number 1. Okay, this tells me that if I were to take this trade off of this POC, we're a little above it at the moment. This is a 3-to-1 risk reward trade. Okay. Now if I were to take it a little bit lower, right? Off of the POC2, it turns into a 4-to-1, right? Almost a 5-to-1. And just that little move down really changes that risk, okay? So, but what I want to do is, maybe this red line is more of a stop area. If I don't honor this yellow line as my stop area and I let it drift down into this red line, now I'm getting more of a 2-to-1 risk reward. I don't like that as much. And this is definitely a support area. And so I'm going to kind of adjust to there, and that will be my stop level. Okay, so I have a 3-to-1 risk reward. If I were to just pick it up right now, I'd still have a 2-to-1 risk reward, but I kind of like this 3-to-1, so I'm going to wait. Okay, so I'm going to also double click or right click that line, and I'm going to add an alert on that line so it lets me know when KKR has gotten to 96.18. Okay, and because we are playing a 30-minute chart, if that got there today, right, if we get a little bit of a pullback to that area on this chart, I'm going to go to my option chain on KKR, and I would most likely be buying, if it were me, I would be buying there's not a lot of volume on these. Let's see, either the 96 or the 97s for next week. Especially if that's coming in today. So the 96s or the 97s, right? Calls for next week. That's what I'd be targeting, because this is a 30-minute chart. You could go out into the following week if you wanted to, because we're also looking at this on a hourly chart. But the chance that this is going to move up in that amount of time buys you enough time. You just don't want to buy anything super far out of the money. So I'm probably more likely to buy the 96s. And the 96s are at, what are they at? Basically 160, $1.60 per contract. Okay, so that's the trade plan for KKR. If you leave a trailer on for the $100 level, you're at a 5-to-1 risk reward. Does anybody have any questions on that? Understanding that risk reward, setting up that trade plan. I like this overall chart. It's been going well. Yeah, dividend didn't really affect it yesterday. the entry price will be whatever the option is priced at when it hits 96.18 for me. That's when I'll be picking it up. Anywhere between 96.18 and 95.98. Right? And right now, the 96 the $96 calls for next week are pricing at about $160. Right? If it moves down a little bit, they'll be pricing in a little less, but that's where they sit right now. You could even go out to the following week, the March 1st, and you could get the 97s or the 96s. And the March 1st gives you more time, right? It's just a little bit more expensive per contract. Yeah, and generally I would take half to 2/3, half to 3/4 off at target number 1, and I'd leave that trailer on for target number 2. But usually I want to take off half to more than half at my first target. And then once that happens, I move my stop up to break even, right? So my stop would be break even here. So if that last quarter trade rolls over and stops me out, right? Then I've made money on 3/4 of this trade, and I did not lose money on this. That became a scratch trade. So that's my plan on KKR, and I'll let you know if there's an entry on it sometime today. If we can kind of get a little bit of a pullback, I'll be taking that off of these sort of $96 levels right in there. That's it for the trade plan video.